Hi, my name is Paul Magas. I'm the fuel manager at Bay & Bay. Today we're going to talk about idle management. It seems like at any given time in our fleet, there are a handful of drivers who have this really excessive idle time. We look at extended idle percentage, which is the percentage of engine hours that are in idle. Our top drivers are typically in the 60 to 70% range, which means 2 out of every 3 engine hours that thing is on, it's parked and it's idling. We also have a way to look at consumption and cost. And if you translate that idle time into cost for those excessive idlers, they're spending close to $1,000 a month just on idle fuel. Now, idling is not a widespread problem in this fleet, and actually our drivers are really good at managing idle. We have a low idle percentage. A big reason for that is that we are an APU fleet, but we also have drivers who are diligent about managing their idle time. If you're idling somewhere near the fleet average, it might cost about $100 a month. We can live with that compared to $1,200. If you just want to do the math on the cost of idling, well, 1 hour of idling doesn't necessarily consume 1 full gallon of fuel, but if you factor in the additional wear and tear, the maintenance costs you're accruing by idling, especially to the exhaust after treatment system, idling a lot is going to require you to do a lot more parked regens, and that gets the engine fired up and that burns even more fuel, and it becomes kind of a compounding issue. That's why you'll notice if you're somebody that idles a lot, probably have to do a lot of parked regens. But if you take all that into account, it's pretty safe to assume that 1 hour of idle time is roughly equivalent to the price per gallon of fuel. So if you're at a truck stop, you can just look up at the sign. It says $3.53. That's about what it's going to cost me to idle the truck for 1 hour. It might not sound like a whole lot, but 10 hours is now in the $35 to $40 range to idle for an entire 10-hour break. And if you multiply that by 30 or 31 days in a month, there's your $1,200 right there. I have never told anybody in my career that they can't idle the truck. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes you're doing what you have to do. Sometimes it's minus 15 degrees and you need to keep that truck from freezing up. Sometimes it's 96 degrees and humid in the middle of the summer and you have to have some kind of climate control inside the cab. I understand it's a judgment call. There are times when idling might be necessary. It's all about managing your idle time, understanding what it costs, making good judgment decisions. The reason that we don't have a ton of idle in our fleet is because we are an APU fleet, which is just a little diesel powered generator mounted to the chassis, has a little straw, runs over to the fuel tank, and uses a little bit of diesel fuel to run, but not nearly as much as the service engine would. And then you've got power, you've got auxiliary, you've got some climate control without having to use as much energy and fuel just by idling the main engine. If you have an APU in your truck, you have to understand that an APU has a cost of ownership. The way to recover your investment on an APU is to utilize it and to save those fuel gallons. So if you have an APU on the truck and you're not using it, you have that additional cost, but then you also have the cost of the idle fuel that you're burning. So it's like a double dip. So it's very important that we utilize that equipment.